The following is a public announcement. However, be forewarned, what follows next could actually happen in the not-too-distant future. What if one day there was a news flash that a 7-year peace deal, in the Middle East between Israel and the surrounding nations, was about to be enacted in the following months? The ceasing of hostilities between the concerned nations would be celebrated by regional and global communities alike. As a stipulation of this comprehensive peace treaty, Israel will begin construction on a temple, on the sacred site of the Temple Mount. People from all over the world would celebrate this monumental political achievement along with celebrating a new era of peace in the Middle East. However, this 7-year treaty and the construction of a temple has special significance to Christians, because many Christians have been taught that the church will not be on earth to see the temple being built nor the covenant being signed. As the world waits for these events to occur, believers will be ecstatic and shouting from the rooftops that the rapture will happen any day now. As the days grow closer to signing the treaty, stakeholders start to arrive in Israel. On the Temple Mount, ground has been broken for temple construction to begin. However, many Christians are starting to get nervous. Some become anxious, while others are worried and depressed. The question is, why? How has celebration suddenly turned into crisis? The answer is, for almost 200 years many Christians have been taught the Pretrib rapture theory. They have been specifically taught and even guaranteed that the church will not be on earth when the treaty is signed and before the temple is built and before the Antichrist is revealed. They have also been taught that the book of Revelation for the most part did not apply to the church. They've always been taught, we're not going to be here. We'll never see the covenant, the temple, Daniel's 70th week, or the Antichrist. However, now the temple is under construction, the covenant is signed, yet the church is still on earth. After the rapture didn't occur, then fear and panic ensues. And just as the Bible predicted, mockers will come, saying, "Where is his coming that you promised?" Now it is clear that what they've been taught about a pre-trib rapture is wrong, even though the truth has always been right there in the Bible all the time. The doctrine they embraced taught them that scriptures pertaining to the end times mostly did not apply to the church. So, they haven't read, nor think they needed the book of Revelation and refuse to receive any teaching that disturbed their concept of comfort, even though Christians are being persecuted now in many countries around the world. But now, persecution has begun, and professing Christians start falling away just as the Bible predicted in 2 Thessalonians 2:3, and in Matthew 24:9-10. With the arrival of the one world government, attitudes and hatred towards Christians will reach an all-time high. Initially, hatred was primarily directed at the Jews, but now it has spread to Christians. Now Christians are persecuted, attacked, and even killed. Then 3.5 years into this new 7-year peace treaty, the person who once backed and promoted the peace covenant, will himself break it. He will halt all religious activity, and take away the daily sacrifices and offerings performed at the new temple in Jerusalem. Then suddenly, an assassination attempt will be made on his life. He will be mortally wounded. But, miraculously, he will be raised up again. A powerful global religious leader will declare to the world, "This man is God." Then this global leader assumes his role as the beast of Revelation 13, and begins his 3.5-year reign of terror. He walks into the new temple in Jerusalem and declares himself to be God. Shockingly, most of the world will believe it and receive him as God on earth because he raised from the dead. Then this wicked ruler called the Antichrist and the Beast will seize control over the global banking system that will already be in place, and require people to get a mark of political and religious allegiance called the Mark of the Beast. This mark could possibly be similar to the QR codes used today. But without it, no one can buy or sell. On the surface, this economic system will not appear to be evil. However, it will be the most efficient financial system the world has ever known, because it will do away with paper currency, identity theft, hacking, and all black markets. However, in order to participate in the Beast's global economy, people will be required to take the Mark of the Beast. People will be required to wear this high-tech form of ID on their right hand or forehead. But, as a condition to receiving the mark, a person will also have to confess and worship the Antichrist as God. To manage this global economy, the Beast and false prophet will order that an AI likeness of the Beast, called the image of the Beast, be developed. Once this image is operational, it will be interfaced with the world's financial data through the global banking system. This AI image will function just as a person but is programmed to find and determine who can buy or sell, and who is in compliance with taking the mark. This image will be able to cut off a person's ability to buy or sell instantly, and then issue warrants for those who do not have the mark to be arrested or put to death. At this time, Many Christians will find excuses to compromise and take the mark of the beast. They will claim, "God knows my heart. He knows that I have to keep working. I have financial responsibilities, to pay my bills, my mortgage and keep my kids in school. I can't sacrifice my way of life. What will my friends, family, and neighbors say?" The Bible says we should obey the law, and now, the law demands that everyone must take the mark of the beast. I don't want to go to jail, and I certainly do not want to die. I spent years in church, certainly God would understand me taking the mark of the beast for my family's sake. Besides, what about the popular evangelical ministers and teachers, who have insisted that those who take the mark can still be redeemed? That means I can get the mark of the beast just to survive, and when it's all over, I can still have the chance to go to heaven. But though many professing Christians will fall away and take the mark of the beast, millions will hold on to their faith in Jesus and will refuse to bow to Satan, the false prophet, or the Antichrist. Their testimony will be, "For God I live," or "For God I die." They will overcome Satan and the beast, by the blood of the Lamb, and the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives, even unto death. It is during this time of unprecedented distress, that millions who trust in the Lord during the darkest moment in Earth's history, will come forth. They will come from every nation, tongue, tribe, and people. They will stand for Jesus, against Satan and his Antichrist, and will lay down their lives, rather than compromise and face certain eternal destruction. They shall shine forth as lights for all eternity, and live and reign with Christ forever. We are living at a time, where all of the Bible prophecies could happen. For the first time in history, we now have AI technology to make the image of the beast, and mark of the beast possible. The transition to a global cashless economic system is well underway, aided by cryptocurrency, and digital banking. For over 70 years, Israel has been back in the land, which has caused conflicts to rise, and creating the need for peace treaties like the Abraham Accords. An organization in Jerusalem called the Temple Institute, is training priests for service in the temple, making temple utensils, while the architectural plans for the new temple have already been drawn. Nations are rising against nations, kingdoms against kingdoms, famines, devastating wildfires, earthquakes, powerful storms, all continue to break records. Social and civil unrest and crime are getting worse. The threat of nuclear war, and weapons of mass destruction, make total destruction a reality. Nefarious technologies promote deception and deceit, causing global anxiety, chaos, and confusion, making it harder to know the truth. All of these things were foretold in the Bible, especially in the book of Revelation, a book that few people read. Why? Because we were taught that we're not going to be here. However, all these prophecies are lining up, exactly as foretold. And, the fact is, the church is still here. During the 20th century, more Christians have died for the faith in other parts of the world, than any other period in history. However, Christians in the West, particularly in America, have been lulled to sleep by materialism and prosperity, so any doctrines that teach suffering for Christians is opposed and rejected. Unfortunately, the very popular Pretrib rapture doctrine has contributed to the book of Revelation being marginalized and even ignored. Who said that most of the book of Revelation does not apply to the church? Certainly, that's not from the Lord who put Revelation in the Bible. God gave the book of Revelation to the church for a reason. It's in the New Testament for a divine purpose. Why would the Lord put a book in the New Testament, if the church didn't need it? Since believers are taught that we're not going to be here, the generation that should be reading Revelation, doesn't read it. Revelation's messages are so important that it opens with these words, "Blessed is he who reads and those who hear the words of the prophecy, and heed the things which are written in it, for the time is near." The question for you today is, whose report will you believe? Will you believe popular tradition, or will you stand on, "What saith the Lord"? The decision is yours. Whose side would you be on? Would you compromise to save your skin? Would you fall away when persecution comes? Or, will you trust in the word of God instead of the doctrines of men, even if it costs you your life? In Matthew 16:24-27, Jesus declared, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself, and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and will then repay every man according to his deeds." This has been a reality for Christians throughout history, and this will also be the circumstance in the days to come. However, Revelation 21:3-7 declares, "And I heard a loud voice from the throne, saying, Behold, The tabernacle of God is among men, and he will dwell among them, and they shall be his people, and God himself will be among them, and he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death, there will no longer be any mourning, or crying, or pain, the first things have passed away. And he who sits on the throne said, Behold, I am making all things new. And he said, Write, for these words are faithful and true. Then he said to me, It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give to the one who thirsts from the spring of the water of life without cost. He who overcomes will inherit these things, and I will be his God and he will be my son. This has been a message from Dennis James Woods, the author of the Revelation Commentary, a unique pre-wrath perspective, one of the most consequential commentaries on Revelation of our time, and a potent response to the pre-tribulation rapture position. Scan the QR code to get your copy of this powerful commentary today.